I was the kid people crossed the street to avoid. The one with a thrift store backpack and a haircut done with kitchen scissors, the kid folks stared through like a smudge on glass, and the day a billionaire caught me dancing with his paralyzed daughter, I figured the story that always finds boys like me had finally arrived. Security sirens, the heavy hand on the shoulder. Case closed. Instead, I heard a laugh bright and reckless, the kind that bounces off walls and finds its way under your ribs. And suddenly I wasn't trespassing on a rich man's lawn. I was center stage on a patch of grass that felt more like a lifeline than a crime scene. If you're wondering how you go from invisible to invited, pull up a chair. I'll tell you what happened. I'll tell you what it felt like, and you can decide if I deserved what came next. My name is Jax Rivera, 10 years old, if you count by winters instead of candles, and I learned a long time ago to be light on my feet to slip between places, without leaving fingerprints, to read the room before the room reads you, you know what I mean. That afternoon, I was drifting down Cliffside Avenue in Graybridge, where the houses looked like they were built to keep the ocean out, and the world impressed. And from behind a hedge I heard an old record humming, not loud, but warm, a voice that sounded like it had lived through something and made peace with it. I peeked through the leaves, and there she was, a little girl in a wheelchair, with a blanket over her legs, and a book open to a page she wasn't turning, looking at the sky like it might look back, hair catching light, like a field of wheat eyes, doing that brave thing where they keep going even when the body says no. I don't know why my feet took me out of the shade, but they did. And when life gets too big for a kid like me, I do the one thing that ever made people glad to see me. I danced. Not the polished kind, with judges and numbers. Mine comes with jokes baked in. A pretend slip, a shoulder, pop, a little moonwalk that looks like my sneakers are arguing a big theatrical bow, like I'm collecting applause I didn't earn yet. And the sound she made in return was so pure, it scared me a little because it meant I wasn't alone anymore. I thought that was the moment I'd be caught for real because I felt him before I saw him, a presence at the edge of the columned patio, tall and pressed and careful shoes that look allergic to dirt, that notice what other people miss, and the voice in my head said, "Run, Jax!" But the girl's laughter pulled me like a tide, so I stayed, and the man didn't shout, didn't call for anyone, didn't wave his money around like a weapon. He just watched, and I danced until the record ran out, and my chest hurt in a way that felt good. I came back the next day, because rules are great, until you're lonely, slipped in through the gap in the hedge with both hands up like a magician, about to pull a rabbit from thin air, and the girl lit up like a marquee. That's when the man stepped forward and said, "Easy. I just want to talk." And my mouth tried to sprint, while my feet stayed planted, and I gave him the speech kids like me carry in our pockets. "I'm not stealing, sir, I swear." And the girl cut across with, "Daddy, please, he's my friend. And if you want to know what ends a man faster than anger, it's hearing his daughter ask for joy." He crouched until we were the same height, asked my name and my age and where I sleep. When the weather gets mean, and I told him the truth because lying is heavy, and I already carry enough. Bus station, when the nights are kind, laundry room. When the spinning machines sing, never for long, never a mess, in and out like a ghost. And he turned to the girl and said, "How do you feel, Lily?" And she said, "Happy, like I can move again, even if I can't." And we both looked down at the same time and saw it, the tiniest twitch in her toes, like a secret handshake between hope and muscle. And suddenly the air was different. That was the start of the afternoons that stitched me to a life I didn't know could include me. The guard at the gate learned my name and pretended not to smile. The speakers in the garden played records that sounded like sunlight. Lily picked the songs, and I made up the moves as I went, talking to fill the gaps, telling stories about the bus station, harmonica guy who only plays for pigeons, Because humans don't deserve the good notes about the woman who paints her stoop. A new color every month, so time can't sneak past her. And Lily tried everything she could try. Arms up, shoulders forward. Chair spinning slow, then faster. A kid fighting her way back to herself in half-inch victories. And we cheered like those inches were miles, because to her they were. A doctor with kind but tired eyes came by, checked her reflexes, watched us when he thought we weren't watching him, and told her dad this engagement. It matters. I can't promise outcomes, but whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And I pretended I didn't hear while my heart did cartwheels. You'd think that would be the part where everybody claps and the credits roll, but stories with money in them always have neighbors, and ours wore sunglasses, even when the sky was apologizing with clouds. Mrs. Pembroke called me sweetheart, in a way that felt like a warning. Told me there were shelters designed for children like me, told the guard this was a neighborhood, not a camp. And I nodded because smiling costs less than arguing. But the guard, Dawson buzzcut dad jokes, said he's here with Mr. Cole's permission, ma'am, and I walked away before my good luck broke in my hands. The first big miracle came on a day that smelled like rain. Lily planted her hands on the chair arms and pushed breath, steady face set, and rose halfway up 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3. Then she dropped back with a gasp that turned into a laugh. And if you think I played it cool, I didn't. I spun until I got dizzy and fell to my knees like a clown at a coronation, and Mr. Cole, that's the billionaire though you wouldn't know it by the way he kneels, came to us slow, eyes wet, in a way men like him don't show, unless they forget not to told Lily you are, and told me so are you. And I didn't know where to put those words, so I hid them under my ribs for later. That night, he found me on the back steps with 2 mugs of cocoa, and a silence that didn't ask for anything said, "You can't keep living like this, not with the floor cold and the door locked." Said, "From today, you live here if you'll let me room. Meals, clothes, school, family." And I said, "Why? When you don't even know me?" And he said, "Because you gave my daughter something money can't buy, and I won't let the person who did that sleep on tile another night." And I wanted to be too proud to cry. But pride is a coat that doesn't fit when someone offers you a home, yeah. That happened. Next day, the house felt different without changing at all. A drawer with a label that said Jack's in careful block letters. A kitchen where taking the last slice didn't feel like theft. A hallway where a wheelchair rim bumped my sneaker, and that counted as a high five. And in the garden, the music kept playing. The jokes kept landing. The inches kept adding up. Here's the twist. Because good things attract tests. 2 weeks later, a caseworker from Child Services showed up with a clipboard, and a voice that knew how to be gentle on purpose said, there was a complaint about a non-relative minor living on the premises. And my stomach left my body for a minute, while Mr. Cole told the truth, not the tidy version, the real version, with the parts that make you look human. How he found me, why he kept me, what Lily had done that medicine hadn't. And the caseworker asked me if I felt safe and if I wanted to stay. And I looked at the ivy shadows on the window, and at Lily's hand gripping the armrest, like a promise, and said yes to both. She said there would be a process. Assessments, home study, a court date. Words that turn your hope into a calendar with boxes you can't control, and we didn't celebrate because nothing was guaranteed. We did the only thing that reminded us who we were while we waited for strangers to tell us what we could be. We put on a record and danced. Mr. Cole invited the neighbors to a small recital, because sometimes the best answer to fear is a front row seat, and Lily and I rehearsed a routine where she led, and I followed. Then I led, and she followed. And then we met in the middle like kids who speak the same language without checking the dictionary. And on the day the chairs were in neat rows, and the polite faces were out in force, and my shirt was so clean it didn't feel like mine, and we weren't perfect. But we were us, and in the middle Lily pushed up again, this time holding longer, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the sound the neighbors made wasn't applause yet. It was surprise trying on respect. And when it was over, even Mrs. Pembroke took off her sunglasses and said, "That was sweet, like the word had splinters. So here's where I leave you. With me in a house that finally feels like it can hear my footsteps without flinching, Lily discovering new inches every week, Mr. Cole learning. There are problems you can't fix with wire transfers, only time and stubbornness and love and a court date on the horizon that could stamp yes or no across the whole thing, which means the ending is still moving. Some people say this is reckless, that rich folks shouldn't scoop up kids like me and play hero, that the rules exist to protect everyone equally, even if that rarely happens. And some say this is exactly what community looks like, seeing a person and saying, "Share my roof until your bones remember how to rest." Both arguments fit like truths, depending on where you stand. What about you? Not in theory, in real life. If this was your block, your gate, your kid, where does compassion end and chaos begin? Who gets to draw the line, and have you ever seen a rule written to help end up hurting in practice? If this made you feel anything, drop a comment and tell me what justice looks like to you, fair or flawed, or somewhere in the messy middle hit, like so more people can weigh in. Subscribe if you want to see what the judge decides, and if you've got a laugh to share today, don't keep it to yourself. Someone's waiting just beyond a hedge.